Formula One rivalries date back to the beginning of the sport in 1950. A lot of these fights happen on and off the track. Some battles have been fair, while others haven't been. But they are all made up of some of the best Formula One drivers in the sport's history. Over the years, many of these rivalries have come down to the wire in world championships. From 1975 to the present, these are the 5 most famous rivalries in Formula One. Before they moved up to Formula One, James Hunt and Niki Lauda raced against each other in the junior ranks. They even lived together before they became rivals. But in 1976, the two people who had lived together before fought for the title. James Hunt won his first world championship title at the Dutch Grand Prix in 1975. He later said that it was the best race of his life.
James Hunt finishing third and almost catching Patrick Depailler. And James Hunt is the world champion. James Hunt is the new world champion. Mario Andretti is the winner of the race.
At the beginning of the next year, Lauda won 4 of the first 6 races, while Hunt won the other 2. On August 1st, 1976, at the German Grand Prix, Niki Lauda lost control of his race car and hit the wall on a turn. The race car caught fire and bounced back into the middle of the track, where Lauda was hit by another race car. Even though Lauda miraculously recovered from his near-fatal accident in time for the Italian Grand Prix, Hunt had closed the gap between him and Lauda during Lauda's absence. At the Japanese Grand Prix, the last race of the season, Hunt was only 3 points behind Lauda. Hunt beat his rival and won the 1976 World Championship by winning the Japanese Grand Prix. Lauda got back on track and won his second world title in 1977. In 1984, he won his third world title. During the 1980s and 1990s, the rivalry between Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna was the most important one in Formula One. Between 1988 and 1993, they won 5 of the 6 championships, and from 1984 to 1993, they won 7 of the 10 championships. Even though they were on the same team at the time, Prost and Senna became fierce rivals, as they became the best racers in the world. Prost was the clear favorite to win the championship at the start of the 1988 season, but Senna beat him thanks to his daring and creative driving. In the 1988 Japanese Grand Prix, Senna's engine died, putting him in 14th place. Senna was able to move up 10 spots over the course of 4 laps. He eventually caught up to Prost and won the race, which gave him his first world championship. Off the track, tension started to rise between the two. Prost said that McLaren was favoring Senna over him. So the 1990 season was the most heated part of their long-running rivalry. As they went into the Japanese Grand Prix, Senna and Prost were again tied for the title. Senna could win the title if he finished ahead of Prost or if both of them crashed out. On the first turn of the race, Senna tried to pass Prost quickly, but he crashed into his rival, which got them both kicked out of the race. Senna won the world championship because he was the only driver to finish the race. After the race, Prost was furious and said that Senna was disgusting and a man without honor. In 1993, Prost became a driver for Williams, but there was a clause in this contract that said that Senna couldn't be on the same team as him. After Prost won the world championship in 1993, he would quit Formula One, putting an end to the rivalry. Hamilton and Rosberg have been racing each other since they were in karts. Over the years, they have become friends because of this. Most people think that Lewis Hamilton is the best Formula One driver ever because he has won more races than any other driver in history.
And we won't truly know until we fully get in the car, but we believe we have hit the nail on the head in some of those areas, and some of them we'll still have to work on, but yeah, and this is the most exciting period of time.
In 2013, Hamilton finished ahead of Rosberg in their first season together. Rosberg had more experience, but Hamilton was the more skilled and strategic driver. He had mastered the art of keeping his tires in good shape, driving in the rain, and overall racecraft. In 2014 and 2015, Hamilton beat Rosberg to win the championship, which made things even worse between the two. They collided while competing in races at the 2014 Bahrain Grand Prix and in Spain. In 2016, Rosberg would finally win the title after Hamilton had a few bad starts. During the 4 years that they raced together, Hamilton won 1,334 points and Rosberg won 1,195 points. Rosberg quit the sport at the end of the 2016 season, which was a great way to end his career. Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber started competing against each other more than a year before they became teammates at Red Bull Racing. Together, the two drivers won 6 Grand Prix, including 4 1-2 finishes to give Red Red Bull a comfortable second-place finish in the constructors' standings. In 2009, they were happy to work for the team, but in 2010, when Red Bull made the fastest car on the grid, Vettel and Webber were very much out for themselves.
Good job, Sebastian. Good job. Looked like you wanted it bad enough. Still, there'll be some explaining to do.
After winning easily in Spain and Monaco, Webber was on track to win the Turkish GP for the third time in a row. However, Vettel, who was slightly ahead of the Australian on the back straight, crossed the track and hit Webber, which put an end to the Germans' race right there. Their relationship was never the same again, and it hit a new low when Webber's updated front wing was taken off his car and put onto Vettel's during a qualifying at Silverstone. Even though Webber was in first place for most of the second half of the season, he chose to race against Vettel on a day when second place would have been enough. As a result, he spun out in Korea and lost the title with only 2 races left. Webber couldn't get back on track, so he finished a far-off third in the championship, while Vettel stole the title from Fernando Alonso. When Vettel went against his team's orders to pass Webber and win the second race of 2013 in Malaysia, that might have been the last straw. Sebastian was always one step ahead of Mark, but when the two Red Bulls met on the track, it was always exciting. Fernando Alonso signed a deal to join McLaren for the 2007 season just 2 months after winning his first championship with Renault in 2005. Hamilton caused a mini storm over team orders in Monaco, where he wasn't allowed to challenge Alonso for the win. He made up for that disappointment by taking his first win in Canada, where Alonso had his worst race of the year. The next weekend, he chased down Hamilton at Indianapolis. The Spaniard showed how upset he was by making hand gestures towards the pit wall. The relationship between Alonso and Hamilton hit a new low in Hungary. Hamilton was annoyed that the rookie didn't want to follow team instructions, so he messed up the British driver's final qualifying run, which got him a grid penalty. A few races later, Alonso forced Hamilton off the track at the exit of La Source in the Belgian Grand Prix.
Behind Fernando Alonso, it's his old teammate Lewis Hamilton. Here comes Hamilton into the Lecombe chicane, and they make contact. Hamilton rises up into the air. He's made contact with Fernando Alonso. George Russell goes through.
However, the Spaniard's choice of winning the championship were hurt at the next race at Fuji Speedway, where he aquaplaned and crashed out on the same day that Hamilton won by walking on water. Hamilton was on the verge of becoming F1's first rookie world champion, but his last 2 races were terrible. He crashed out of the Chinese GP, and then he had a gearbox problem in Brazil. He ended up tied with Alonso on 109 points. But Ferrari's Kimi Raikkonen won the title by 1 point. Less than 2 weeks after the end of the season, Alonso left McLaren after only 1 year and went back to Renault for 2008.